October the 14th, 2023. Guys, we've got the leaders of this planet hell bent on destruction. And we know that a lot of this has to do with evil, demonic influence, and possession, if you ask me. And the question arises, why do the demonic leaders want everything destroyed? Because if you're possessed by the demons that we're talking about, probably fallen angels and all, it may be their only way out. They've been trapped here on this planet. Maybe they think that if they destroy it, they can be released or into a different dimension or whatever. I don't know what their motive is. I know that they hate God's creation, and they would love to destroy it. Now, what's happening, this is from Iran. It says, Hezbollah will cause a huge earthquake in Israel. We are all with our fingers on the trigger. Fatah, the Palestinian forces have united. Israel army, Hezbollah battles with dead and wounded, both sides. And what Iran is saying, and they're addressing this to Israel, and on the very verge of Israel coming into Gaza with massive tank movements, other things, Air Force, everything. But Iran says Hezbollah will cause a huge earthquake in Israel. We are all with one finger on the trigger. Fatah, the Palestinian forces have united. Now, you've got Hezbollah, that's at the northern border. And here we've got a lot of Israeli troops amassing on the southern side, forcing folks out of northern Gaza into South Gaza, and they're going to go in and sweep through here. There's also folks from different countries that are there lending a hand. It continues, it says, Netanyahu has achieved something that until now seemed impossible in the Middle East region. All Palestinian factions have united against Israel, and now the danger of a new and worse intifada is visible. In other words, he has peed off everybody there. And you throw in Biden and his gang, and you've got half the world mad. If Iran's new threat materializes, which confirms the green light given to Hezbollah for involvement in the Israeli operations in Gaza, goes ahead, then the region is facing a generalized conflagration with the involvement of all actors. We're talking about Jordan is in on the deal, Syria, Lebanon, guys, Egypt, Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia possibly. He also said that all Palestinian factions are today united against the occupation, and this unity will also be seen on the battlefields. The military wing of Hamas, Fatah, PIJ were all involved in the operation in Israel. Al-Qassam brigades, Hamas's military wing, Al-Aqsa brigades, Fatah's military wing, and the Al-Quds brigades, which is Palestinian Islamic Jihad military wing, were all involved in the invasion, which he described as elevated resistance. Iran's foreign minister argued from Beirut today that it was still possible to avoid a generalized crisis in the Middle East, commenting on fears of a flare-up in the region followed by the October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel. I don't think Israel is going to stop or any of their allies. There's still a political opportunity to avoid a generalized crisis. He says it may be too late in the next few hours. Guys, as this video is being done, more than likely there's a great amount of troop movement. And the statements he made from the Iranian embassy in Beirut, the official called it the axis of resistance, may react in case of escalation of Israel operations in Gaza. Everything's focused around Gaza. And anybody know how many times that's mentioned in the Bible? It says, in addition, they called on Israel to stop the attacks on Gaza, warning that the war could spread to other parts of the Middle East if Hezbollah joins the battle, and that would cause Israel to suffer a huge earthquake. Israel considers Hezbollah its most serious immediate threat. I think that Hezbollah being on the northern section of Israel, up in the Golan area and through there, has slowed down their attack in the south. They know they have to guard both borders now. They're going to be opening up more fronts. It says the group, which has thousands of fighters involved in Syria's 12-year conflict, also has different type of military drones. Hezbollah fighters are on full alert along Lebanon's border with Israel after last Saturday's attack by the Palestinian militant group Hamas. He said, "I want to warn the war criminals and those who support this entity before it is too late to stop the crimes against civilians in Gaza, because it may be too late in a few hours again." Iran's foreign minister said he would contact UN officials in the Middle East because there's still an opportunity. I'm not sure they want an opportunity, to be honest with you, on either side. He continued, he said, "I know about the scenarios that Hezbollah has put in place. Any step taken by the resistance will cause a huge earthquake in the Zionist entity. What else happened because of those threats? Watch this." And this is what the go broke, go to war nations want. It says U.S. goes to war. U.S. Air Force order to bomb Hezbollah and Iranian militias. Israel hastily develops the Iron Beam laser system. Instead of shooting rockets, guys, like the Iron Dome, this thing blasts them out of the sky with a laser system. But this is what they wanted. Now you got the U.S. involved. This has not happened as far as we know yet, and this is kind of a warning, counter-warning thing. If Iran and Hezbollah get involved, the U.S. has the green light to bomb Hezbollah and the Iranian militias. And now they're developing the laser weapons. And guys, I'm not sure that this is not already happening, just simply looking at the wording and the timing and the time it takes to get the information here and then up to you guys. But it says rapid developments were triggered by the threats of the Iranian foreign minister as the U.S. Army, according to what is reported by the Israeli media, undertakes to neutralize Hezbollah and the Iranian militias. If that happens, it won't be long before Iran enters the war as well. And what will happen when the U.S. does that? Just listen. It says, according to major Israeli media reports, the U.S. defense officials have assured the Israeli government that U.S. warships in the eastern Mediterranean will enter the war and shoot down missiles fired by Hezbollah from Lebanon. Meanwhile, U.S. forces across the Middle East will target a number of pro-Iranian groups in Syria and Iraq if this escalates into a regional conflict. It doesn't look like an if, it looks like a when, and a very quick when. Of course, and here's the kicker, this will cause massive attacks on U.S. bases in Syria, Iraq by Shiite forces. Think about what we did in Afghanistan. All U.S. bases in the Middle East are on high alert, which War News 247 has revealed have been reinforced with F-15s and A-10 squadrons. Again, warnews247.gr is where you want to go to get this information. Guys, right now there's a lot of aircraft over the Mediterranean Sea from a couple of different countries. It says the fear of Hezbollah's involvement in the war is widespread in Israel. For this reason, the Israeli army is developing for the first time the Iron Beam laser defense system in order to strengthen air defense throughout the country. The Iron Beam system will act as a short-range air defense system of Israel's integrated missile defense system and shoot down incoming missiles, drones, artillery shells, and mortars. The system, according to the Israelis, is not even ready. It was supposed to enter service a few years ago, but it seems that the Israeli army is throwing all weapon systems into battle, even the prototypes, for fear of a general war. And another reason I think they're getting ready to go full assault is that the U.S. recently approved the departure of non-emergency embassy staff in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv due to the unpredictable security situation in Israel. They're taking the families also. At the same time, the Germans are also leaving. The German Air Force Luftwaffe is finally starting to evacuate civilians from Israel. 2 German transport planes are heading to Israel to pick up German citizens. At the same time, Germany is putting the 26th Airborne Brigade, the powerful paratrooper units, the 36th Combat Helicopter Regiment, and the Luftwaffe on high alert for possible additional military evacuation operations, coming out of Spiegel. That's full-blown war. The battle in Ukraine, guys, is basically over. Everything's crushing in on them right now. People are turning away from them. They found a new way to waste taxpayer money and get rich. and they kind of wore that all of their welcome out as far as Russia's concerned in the Ukrainian area. They've been defeated. What will they do next? We don't know. But right now, because you need to be prepared. And the reason I say that is we don't know how quickly something will happen. Say, for instance, Hezbollah attacks heavily with the Iranian militias. The U.S. starts bombing them, their airfields, starts attacking Iran, and somebody starts dropping nukes around the planet, depending on who's involved with this. That's how quickly this can happen. Just pray for peace and pray for all the innocent civilians on both sides that are suffering because of a few demons that are leading this whole thing. It's a shame, but it's God's way, I think, of letting the world know you've been running wild too long. You've been doing your own thing. You've turned your back on your Father in heaven. And if this is the only way I can get you to pay attention, then this is what's going to happen. And we talked about forcing prophecy. Then I talked about, because that is very possible, that we need to understand what prophecy is so that we know the battle plans of the enemy. Many of you understand where we are at as far as some of the prophecies in the Old Testament. But right now, it's time for you to circle your wagons. You know what's coming. Be prepared in any way you can for power outages, food outages, water outages, the whole 9 yards, guys. It's going to get down to the only person coming to help you and your family in this worldwide situation is you and our Father in heaven. But he's trying to get your attention, my attention, everyone's attention. Things are not all hunky-dory right now with him. He's not very happy with what he sees happening. And he's going to step in before it's all said and done. But right now, you have to be prepared. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.